Welcome in, everybody, to episode number 10 here on the Big Blue Breakdown. Thank you guys so much for joining here and listening. If you're on Spotify, make sure to follow and to listen all the way through. It means so much for you guys to be listening there. I think we've reached about 108 people on there. If you start to listen, please just try to listen all the way through. It means a lot to the podcast. And if you are watching here on YouTube, please subscribe and thank you guys so much for tuning in there. And we are up to 10 subscribers on YouTube, which means a lot to the channel. Thank you guys so much for all the views and all the attention you guys have given me and all the support you guys have shown. Thank you guys so much for all that. And today, a little bit different episode we have going on today. A little bit of a bracketology update here. On episode 10 here, I'm going to take a look at the updated Joe Lunardi bracketology and my thoughts on it. My thoughts where UK sits and is a 1 seed obtainable for the Cats. And what the Cats have to do to be that 1 or 2 seed throughout the year moving on to get there. So let's go ahead and look at the updated bracketology. This is Joe Lunardi's on ESPN. You can find them. Just look up Bracketology 2025 and ESPN will pop up. Click on here. And the first 3 things is top overall seed. It's simple, guys. Auburn Tigers, top overall seed. First team out he has is Cincinnati, and then the last team in is Indiana, which is kind of surprising to me. They've struggled. I think they just had a big win over somebody recently. I'm not exactly sure who it was, but kind of weird to see them in there because they have had so many ups and downs. They had a really bad loss to Louisville earlier in the year. They got destroyed by was it? I think it was Illinois. Just pounded by Illinois. I'm pretty sure fans were calling for Indiana's head coach's job. So they're sitting right now as the last team in on Joe Lunardi's, and I believe this is a very good source to get and really see where your team stands because I believe that. Come March, when Selection Sunday comes around, I believe they do take an account of Joe Lunardi's and also Ken Palm's rankings to do this. So I think this is a really good thing to go through and to look at. So, on the bubble, sitting here on the bubble, the last 4 byes, Oklahoma, North Carolina, Vanderbilt, San Diego State. It's very good to see 2 SEC teams in right there. That really, I don't want to say at the bottom of the SEC because you just seen Vanderbilt beat Tennessee, but those are 2 SEC teams in right now, last 4 byes. 2 SEC teams sitting right there, Oklahoma and Vanderbilt. North Carolina having a down year for sure. Now, San Diego State, a team from the Mountain West that really, I think, dominates the Mountain West itself. They've had some amazing runs. Last time in 2023 they went to the national championship with Lamont Butler. Obviously, we know him very, very well. Lamont Butler hit a shot in the Final Four. I believe it was in the Final Four. Yeah, in the Final Four to send San Diego State to the national championship. So they have been a very good team in the tournament in past years. Very consistent at getting to the tournament. I believe they beat Alabama in 2023 when Brandon Miller was on that team. That team was legit that they beat. Excuse me. Now we look at the last 4 in. As I mentioned, the last team in overall is Indiana, and they said at the very bottom of this list right here, last 4 in is Pitt, Nebraska, and UCF. Now, so 2 teams, basically, I've already talked about Indiana. The 3 teams right here that I'm looking at are obviously the Pitt, who was at one point the second best team in the ACC, which may not be it anymore. the ACC this year is tremendously weak. It is Duke has basically a walk through the ACC this year to be a number one seed, which I think they're going to be because of how easy their schedule is. They have one really tough game at the end of the year going to Illinois, which I don't get why that's on there, but it is. So Duke gets that game at the end of the year. Other than that, they are favored in every other. They're favored in the Illinois game as well by 5 points. They're favored by, I think, 15 plus or more in every other game the rest of the year. They got to walk to the ACC championship. Excuse me, not the ACC. Well, the ACC championship and a top seed in the NCAA tournament. Then you also take a look at teams like Nebraska. They had a fast start. Playing a mediocre conference where Illinois or Michigan is probably the best team. I think Illinois probably is the best team there. Or not Michigan. You could also say Michigan State there as well. They have a good top end. Just the bottom lower teams aren't the greatest, especially in that conference. I think this team can be pretty good. Nebraska, I believe they made it last year. Yeah, I think they made it last year. Yeah, they were led by a crazy lefty 3-point shooter last year. Then you look at UCF, who actually I think upset Kansas earlier this year. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, right there. I think they're a pretty solid team. They play in what are they playing now? They're playing in the Big 12. Big 12. UCF. I think so. I think they do play in the Big 12, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they play in the Big 12. I think if they can knock us some other teams, and I want to look at their schedule here real quick because this team kind of interests me. They beat Texas A&M actually at the very beginning of the year by 3 at home. They lost to Wisconsin by 16. They lost to LSU by 7, which is not a good loss at all. No, they got killed. Excuse me. They got killed by Kansas. I'm trying to think of a win that they had that was major. It was that Texas A&M game, yeah. So this team is fringe getting into me. Haven't really played anybody, and except for Texas A&M and coming up with a big win. Now looking at their schedule, I was for some reason thinking that they beat Kansas, but they got destroyed by Kansas. They beat a bad Colorado team. They lost to a mediocre Arizona team. Now they did beat ASU, Arizona State, who is pretty solid this year, but then they lost by 1 to Houston, who is a very, very good defensive team. And then I think they lost, was it last night? Maybe. This was all basically, I want to say this before, the bracketology was updated last night at 10:30. It's updated nightly for everybody to know that. Yeah, I think they lost last night. I believe that's right. Yep. They lost 108 to 83 against Iowa State at Iowa State. Not a bad loss at all, but I mean, they play in a tougher schedule. They go to Kansas in their next 2 games. They get Iowa State again. They're going to have to beat teams like Kansas State, TCU, Oklahoma State, Utah, and Colorado to get in and possibly pull up an upset, maybe like at West Virginia. But that's really a look at that UCF team. First 4 out here. Cincinnati, they started the year really, really well in conference play. I think they maybe have won one conference game so far. I know they had a really, really, really good start to the season. Only losing 1 non-con game. That was at Villanova. But yeah, they've won 2 conference games, so that makes them 2-5 in conference play. I see where he is here with the Cincinnati Bearcats. He also got teams like SEC team here in Texas. who just beat Missouri last night, if I'm not mistaken. That's a big, big win for the Longhorns. Missouri was ranked, a team that is supposed to get in. They win by 8 last night. Big win for the Longhorns to get on the right path. I could see them getting in, but it's going to be very, very hard with an SEC schedule. SMU got blown out by Louisville. They're out. First 4 out. Ohio State, who beat Kentucky by 20 earlier in the year, been struggling on and off since that win, just like they were before coming into that game. So they're out. And then the next 4 out after them, Iowa, Xavier, VCU, and Penn State. Okay, so now we're getting into, I think these are the playing games here. Colgate, Morehead State, 16 seeds. And then interesting matchups right here. To me, you always have 2 really, really interesting matchups. Obviously, the 16s play each other, two games to play each other to get in, and then the 11 seeds are very, very interesting to me because sometimes you have a team that plays a 6 seed that you think that they can win. So these games right here are very important between two very important teams for the tournament in general. Pitt and Nebraska play each other. Or supposed to be playing each other, Pitt and Nebraska at the 11 seed to play in here. And then UCF and Indiana. That one interests me a lot as well. If I were to predict those games right now, I'd probably go Nebraska and UCF. I think that's maybe Nebraska, Indiana. I don't know. But that's very interesting to me there right now. Okay. So, let's get into the whole breakdown of it now. Okay, not gonna run through everything, every breakdown of each team. Just gonna kind of run you guys through it right here. Obviously, you're gonna hear Kentucky. I'm gonna say my thoughts on where they are right now. If I like it, if it's positive or negative, especially with a matchup thing, and then I will move on to. Can Kentucky get a 1 seed? And if it's capable, and things that we have to do to get a 1 or a 2 seed moving forward throughout. So, on the south side of the bracket, Auburn sits at the number 1 seed overall. They play possibly Colgate or Morehead State, like I just mentioned. 8 seed, and this is Utah State, and 9 seed is UCLA. 5 seed, Texas A&M. See an SEC team right there as a 5 seed playing McNeese, and then Houston would be playing Stanford. 6, Arizona would be playing the playing game between Pittsburgh and Nebraska. That one is very interesting to me because Arizona's been such an on and off team. Got a lot of talent, got a lot of really good experience like Caleb Love. You got the guy from Oakland. So I can very much see an upset right there for whoever wins that Pitt-Nebraska game. Then you have Kentucky sitting at a 3 seed. It says that we've moved down, which is very interesting to me. We would be playing a 14 seed just like we did last year, right? We were 3 seed, played a 14 seed in Oakland, yeah, and lost, obviously. Terrible. But 3 seed here, playing Northern Colorado. Don't know anything. I'm going to be completely honest with you here. Don't know anything about Northern Colorado. But what I do know is this would be a game that we should win. And Pope has been very good at that throughout the entire season. You move down to the very bottom of this south side here. Missouri would be playing a 7th-ranked Missouri would be playing a 10th-ranked North Carolina, and number 2 Purdue would be playing Cleveland State. So honestly, this is a very strong side of this bracket right here. If we're just looking at it through 1 through 16. First of all, you got the best team in the country in Auburn, right? And then you got 2 very solid teams in Utah State, UCLA, an SEC team, plays rugged. In Texas A&M playing McNeese, who's actually pretty daggone good. Houston, very underrated. Could be a 2 seed by the end of the year. Playing Stanford. And then you got, which I really like this year, if this is the draw for the Cats, right? If this is the draw for the Cats as a 3 seed, let's say we beat Northern Colorado, right? We would either be playing an 11 or a 6. Let's say Arizona beats them. I really like that matchup for the Cats, who they're playing an inconsistent Arizona team. As of now, I would really like that matchup. It's not it wouldn't be our first 2 games that I would be completely worried about or oh man, that's a terrible matchup for the Cats. It's how strong at the top the South is in this one. So at the bottom here would be Missouri, North Carolina, Purdue, Cleveland State. We'd be playing let's just say we beat Arizona, right? And we'd be playing let's go by seeding. We'll be playing Purdue. I like that matchup there. A 3 and a 2 seed right there, playing each other. Yeah, to make it probably going to be playing Auburn. That's a very tough draw for the Cats. Very tough draw for the Cats. I would like to obviously jump up so we wouldn't have to play a team like Auburn in the Sweet 16. But that's what we have here, okay? Moving on to the west side of this, you got number 1 Iowa State playing either Long Island or Howard. Then you got Georgia and Creighton, 8 and 9 seeds here. What would interest me? I'm very high on Georgia, very, very high on Georgia. This will be a very good game between Georgia and Creighton, and I think Georgia could upset Iowa State if things go right. I really like Asa Newell. You got number 5 Wisconsin playing Lipscomb. Number 4 Ole Miss playing South Alabama, 13th ranked. And then 6th ranked West Virginia playing New Mexico. 3rd ranked Oregon playing Utah Valley. 7th ranked St. John's playing Vanderbilt. I kind of like, Vandy just came off a loss to Alabama, and then Kentucky plays them next, but this could be a very good game. I like St. John's a lot, and I also like Vandy a lot. Then you got number 2, Florida playing Bryant. I think the best team out of all these teams right here is Florida. No joke. I think Florida could get out of this side right here if this was it. Okay, moving on to the right side of the brackets. In the East, we got number 1 Duke. They got such an easy way to get there. Playing Quinnipiac. I may be saying that wrong. Then you got 8 Baylor, 9 Maryland, 5 Michigan. Kind of been up and down the season. 12 George Mason, 4 Mississippi State. 4 Mississippi State, guys. They lost last night, but to me, they're still a very dangerous team with the weapons that they have and how they play. Play number 13, who actually beat Auburn last year in the first round, I believe. UConn, they're a story. They're a story. I definitely don't think that they will be three-peating this year. They're not that great of a team to me, and they play in a weaker conference, and they're playing really close games against not great teams. UConn ranked 6th, playing UC Irvine. 11th, Michigan State, very high in Michigan State. 3rd ranked, playing number 14, Akron. And then 7th ranked, Clemson, playing 10th ranked San Diego State. I could see an upset there with San Diego State possibly beating Clemson. And then Tennessee playing Southern. Tennessee, to me, is a little bit fraudulent because their offense is not the greatest. Now, they have an elite defense, but in today's game, you have to have a really good offense. And to me, they really have one guy that's an elite scorer. And so I think what could happen is let's say Chaz Lanier is not on it that night, right? It's going to be hard for them to win, especially against another really, really good opponent. Now, looking at this right here, I could definitely see Duke winning this, obviously. But I can most definitely see Michigan State winning this right here. Just wanted you guys to keep that in mind right there. Okay, move down to the Midwest. This is the last portion of the bracket. Alabama sitting at a number 1 seed. Good to see them sitting here at number 1 for the SEC. Now it's 2 SEC teams number 1, right? Yep, there's 2 SEC teams number 1 seeds. Crazy. Omaha be 16th seed. Texas Tech 8th, and St. Mary's number 9. Memphis playing Bradley. And then you have fourth-ranked Illinois. I think they will definitely be a lot higher going into the tournament. Maybe a two seed playing, but they would be playing right now a 13th ranked Middle Tennessee, 6th ranked Louisville, either playing a UCF or Indiana. Then you also have 3rd ranked Marquette playing Charleston, Gonzaga, a 7th seed. I think they just lost two games in the WCC. Not looking good for the Zags right now. Oklahoma 10th. I think they're really fraudulent. Oklahoma is. And then Kansas. I think they're the worst 2 seed. I don't think they're that great of a team, guys. 2 seed, UNC Asheville, they'll be playing at 15. So to me, this is right here is probably, to me, the weakest side. The weakest side. The reason that I say that is because the top is strong. The top is strong. Okay? Alabama's a really good team. I think this would come down to the two best teams right here, I think, in my opinion, are Alabama and Illinois. I could definitely see Alabama just rolling. Not saying it'd be so easy, but roll through this side of the bracket right here. So, broke that all down here. Conferences. SEC would have 12 teams in. Big Ten would have 10. Big 12 would have 8. ACC have 5. Big East have 4. Mountain West have 3. And the WCC, the West Coast Conference, would have 2. Okay. Let's break down. Okay, is it possible for the Cats to get a 1 seed? Yes. Yes. Let me say why. Okay, I'm not saying that we are. I wouldn't predict that we would. Okay, I would predict us realistically a 2 or a 3 seed. I think that's really where we sit. Maybe a 4 if some things go wrong. Maybe we lose some games that we shouldn't. But prediction-wise, 2 or 3 seed, right? I think that's very realistic to sit at. Going to Kentucky's, the rest of their schedule. The reason this team can be a 1 seed is because of the challenge of the rest of the schedule. Vandy is a quad 1 game. At 6th ranked Tennessee, you get a quad 2 game in Arkansas, who just lost their second best player in Boogie Flan, that we should win that game. At 16th ranked Ole Miss. South Carolina at home, again, playing Tennessee at home. At Texas, Vandy at home. At Alabama, at Oklahoma, right? We get Auburn at home, LSU at home, at Missouri. There's so much potential for big-time wins that if we just start slaying through the SEC here, there is potential to me for a number 1 seed. Because the scheduling is so strong and hard, I could definitely see a world where we win a lot of these games. Maybe we drop 2 in this last really, really tough stretch here, right? To me, that's a 1 seed, right? You also have to take into consideration the SEC tournament, right? Let's say Kentucky loses 3 out of their remaining. Well, let's say 4 out of the remaining games. The thing that would make us 11-8, and we ended up winning the SEC tournament. That could also make us a 1 seed. I can see that there. The reason I think we could make a 1 seed is because of how tough the schedule is. We have so many opportunities in games to show that we are a 1 seed. Okay? All right, I want to talk about my last little my last little spill here. How or what Kentucky has to do to become a 1 or a 2 seed. Number 1, you have to win at least, I know it's really going to be really tough, 1 or 2 seed. You have to win at least 10 games in the SEC play. Are we sitting 3-2 now? You have to win 7 out of your next. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Is it 12 games? Maybe count this wrong. Let me count one more time. 1, 2, 3. So Vandy, 1, Tennessee, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 games. Right? You'd have to win, You'd to win 7 out of the next 13 games. That's really, really tough to do, especially with how tough the SEC is. But to me, it's doable. You have to win 10 plus. You have to win 10 plus games in the SEC. Lastly, you have to make it to the SEC title game. Make it to the SEC title game. Win or loss in the SEC title game. Make it to the SEC title game. Okay. I think you do that. I think you're a 1 or a 2 seed. Now I think that's most definitely on the 2 seed line right there. If you want to become a 1 seed, I think you gotta go. You gotta go. What would that be? Sitting at 2 losses, 13 games left. We're 14-4, 3-2 in conference play. 7 games to get to 10. To me, for a 1 seed, you got to win the next 10 out of your 13 games, 9 out of the 13 games to become a 1 seed and make it to the SEC championship. I could see that right there. I could see that happening, but that is where Kentucky sits right now as a 3 seed. To me, realistically, you sit at 2 or 3 seed. I don't like the matchup with us and Auburn right there. But I think if Kentucky can handle their business and win games throughout like we know that they can sit at a 2 spot. They can possibly get to a 1 spot because with all the opportunities, but realistically, I see us at a 2 or a 3. And I like us getting to the Sweet 16 as of now, but I don't like that Auburn matchup. I don't like that Auburn matchup. But that is what we got right now. That's kind of like the update right now. Yes, we can get a 1 seed. We can. It'll take a lot of heart. It'll take a lot. It's still there. Realistically, 2 or a 3. I see us more as a 2 right now, a 2 seed. And then after that, it's all about matchup. All about matchup. But getting a higher seed will make it easier. Okay? So that is gonna wrap up episode number 10 here on the Big Blue Breakdown. Thank you guys so much for tuning in here for the very first bracketology update for this season. I think it's time to start getting around. It's getting closer and closer with more games. After some more games, we'll definitely have another update. And then we'll break that all down like we just did there. But that's your first update here on bracketology, on the bracketology side. I forgot to mention here. Please go check us out on the social media, on TikTok, X, and Instagram at BigBlue_Breakdown. Again, that is at BigBlue_Breakdown. You can see it here in the bottom left corner of your screen, I believe, if I'm not mistaken there. But thank you guys so much for tuning in here to episode number 10 on the Big Blue Breakdown. And as always, go Cats.